name is Sonia. I am a life coach, an NLP practitioner, a health and fitness coach, and the CEO of Moticise, a company that combines mindset and movement so that you can get your greatest self not just into your minds, but into your bodies. And if you like this kind of content, if you want to thrive, to succeed in your life, join, subscribe, hit that notification button. Press like if you like the content so I know and I can create more like it for you. Back to relationships. What I noticed for others was also an important lesson for me. I met my first love, I guess you could say, in a car accident. Yes. When we first met, or later we ended up getting married, but and at that point everybody said, well, of course you got married, it was destiny. But then when we broke up, it was like, well, of course, you guys met in a car crash. But I was driving with a friend of mine and he hit our car. I wasn't driving, so it ended up being between them. And a couple weeks later in the university newspaper, I was at college at the time, there were personals, and he wrote in, "To the beautiful blonde whose name I don't know because I just hit your father's car." It wasn't my father, it was a family friend. But my roommate saw it and was like, "Oh my gosh, I think this is you." So I ended up calling, we ended up dating, and after 7 years we got married. But unfortunately, it didn't last. And the key reason is this: values. I know, it seems so simple. And yet, it's something that few people really look at. They kind of have an idea of what you value. You know, you want honesty, you want trust, you want some love, you want family or whatever. But we don't really delve deeply into it. And we don't always look at the order in which they are. And we had done some course together because we were both into self-development. And at the end of the course, we thought, we should really look at this, but we never did talk about it. And at the end, it ended up being the thing that pulled us apart. But this was a values exercise where you had to number your values. And my number 1 was adventure, and number 8 was security. His number 1 was security. Number 10 was adventure. You could imagine that might cause some conflict. Then you throw in a dose of miscommunication, and I'm not getting what I need, you're not getting what you need, and maybe a little bit of insecurities or doubts or jealousies or whatever, and all the other conflicts that can happen in a relationship to really test it. And that, I truly believe, was what pulled us apart. He was a great guy, smart, funny, talented, good-looking, great guy. I mean, it was 2 good people, just the wrong relationship. And I, at the time, was, acting and wanted to go off and continue to be on TV and live life and explore the world, where he wanted to buy a house, settle down, make sure he had his 401k, and it just didn't work. And so ultimately, it fell apart. When I see other people, I realize that that is ultimately what pulls them apart too. It's the lack of understanding of what they really, really value and what's most important. We could say, hey, adventure and security were both on our top 10, but the order really mattered. It made a huge difference in how we operated in our world, the choices that we made, the risks that we were willing to take, everything. And it just didn't gel. And I find that too. And so often people will say, I love, or family. And I'm like, well, what is it about family that you really value? What do you get? So maybe you get connection, maybe you get love, a feeling of belonging, a feeling of support. Those are 4 different things that you get from one thing you just group into a value. And so we want to break it down and pull it apart and then really look at what must happen in order for you to thrive. And everyone's different. And everyone will come up with their own combination of things they must have. And you guys don't have to be exactly in order, but you might want to know if somebody's security and the other is adventure, that's going to cause some conflicts. You might even be able to work it out, but you're going to have to come up with some compromises and you're going to have to be crystal clear. And for us, it ultimately didn't. So really having a coach or somebody who can reflect back these things, be an objective advisor, and so somebody who doesn't have any emotion in this, but can purely say, hey, this is something that you want, this is what you value, this is what you're doing. And making sure that everything is in alignment, and then how can it be in alignment with each other? And then how can you learn to really communicate that and communicate when it's off? And ultimately, we don't want to knock anyone down or take something away from another person. I think that is often what makes people feel like they got lost in a relationship. They compromised themselves. They didn't live fully in a relationship. And so we want to take a look at that and see, well, where are you feeling that way and how can we lift that up? And how can the other person support that, and vice versa. So there's no pulling anybody down to any one level. It's all about raising each other up so that you can really live a life of fulfillment, of joy, not just, yeah, you know, we're getting by. Hey, partner, you know. So we want to look at that. And what I noticed when people were frequently coming to me for one, and it was flipping into relationships, is that relationships are truly a mirror of how you feel about yourself. And I always say relationships are a mirror and kids are a microscope. But that's a conversation for another time. Just focusing on the relationship right now, it really is a reflection of how you feel, what you want, what beliefs, what negative thoughts are you carrying around with you. Are you clear? Are you in alignment? And are you communicating all of that? And so that's why I think when you start to do personal work in other areas, it often comes back to relationships, because that relationship is often a mirror of what's happening for you in your real life. And so the good news is, if you get those values in order and really get clear and understand what it is that you want, it can also help your career, your finances, your health, all of that just bust open. It's amazing. Once people understand that and start creating around it, life starts to happen in a much better way. And sometimes too, one can shift your values. I used to think, well, your values are your values. They're hard and fast. That's who I am. And it's not quite true. But it is important to make an intentional shift. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to own your own business, but security is your number one value, that too could really butt heads and make a real conflict. You might not be able to take the risks that you need in order to be an entrepreneur. You know, when given the choice, you're going to back off or be safe, or it's constantly going to create just a lot of stress that's going to then wreak havoc on other areas of your life. And so at that moment, you could say, hey, what's more important to me? What must I have to be fulfilled in life? Do I want to go for my dream of being an entrepreneur or a creative person or something in that world? Or must I have security? Or am I willing to find other ways to adapt and allow security perhaps to get bumped down the list? Like, that is preventing me from who I really want to be. And that's where the light, the energy, the life force is. And so when you get clear on that and you align them, that's much more likely to happen. Just like attracting a partner or pulling in somebody that you really love, who matches and is in alignment with the values that you have. They don't have to be exactly the same. You just want to know if they're polar opposites. So I got it right the second time. I knew that was a key after, coaching everybody and having the same experience myself. I really got crystal clear on what values were important to me and who I wanted and what I needed in order to feel happy and fulfilled. And I can happily say I have been married for 16 years, together for 21, and I am totally happy and fulfilled and joyful, and we're constantly working with each other and lifting each other up and pressing each other and supporting each other and anything we can so that we both live that life of adventure and fulfillment and joy and happiness, which are things that are such key values for us. And so it absolutely can work in having a coach or having somebody be able to reflect that back honestly to you and help guide you through that so that you can get clear. It can be a really, really powerful way of identifying it for yourself, for your partner, or your potential partner, so that you pull in, you attract somebody that has that match. And as I said, it also will help other areas of your life. Get clear on values and learn how to communicate them, and relationships will start to fly, as will the rest of your life. So if you want more information like this, I have lots of great free stuff on my site at soniasatra.com. Head on over and check that out. We'd love to have you there and to join the community. And again, if you can subscribe, hit that notification, and I'll see you next time.